Hello, everyone. Welcome to Industry Ethos, the podcast where we talk to builders, industrialists, and the founders who are reshaping factories with technology. I'm Eren, your host, and today we got Kevin Sun, an owner of multiple candy manufacturing plants and EY Entrepreneur of the Year. We will be diving into how AI is changing food manufacturing, what's working, what's breaking, and what happens to companies that don't adopt this kind of technology. And let's get started. Welcome, Kevin. First of all, I want to start with, for people who don't know you, like, what do you do? Can you just explain for them?
Yeah. Well, we have a few candy factories, 3 to be exact, in the GTA. We look to sort of produce things at a very efficient pace and look at innovating through process design mainly as part of our acquisition strategy. And so now in the midst of, the AI boom, that has become sort of our core thesis into the future of what we do.
And like, what makes your candy manufacturing unique compared to other companies that manufacture candy? Like, are you guys using like certain technologies?
No, I wouldn't say that it's super unique. I think each manufacturing process is really driven by the machines that make those products. So it's no different than making silicone chips, right? Like TSMC can only make silicone chips by the machines that they're getting supplied. So candy is much like that as well. Within the constraints of the physical machinery, we look at, instead of looking at optimizing output all the time, we look at optimizing the net impact of the product. So we bring a little bit more creativity and unique design compared to like a big company that just looks at outputting as many kilos as possible.
I see. And like, in food manufacturing, what is harder to optimize? Like, is it the process, people, design?
This goes hand in hand with AI. I think that all processes are designed within the context of machinery and people. So the machine's designed to run a certain way. And so your manufacturing process is about how to seamlessly have people integrate with the machine to create an ideal outcome. And so the ideal outcome is theoretical. So a machine will say, look, this is rated to run at, 300 a minute, but that's just theory, right?
I
But
see.
the
Yeah.
process design and the people is what helps you achieve that theoretical number. And the reality is that you never really truly reach that number at a steady pace.
And also, like, where does AI already play a role inside your plants today? Like, what effects are you seeing from them?
We have AI applied to 2 out of the 3 plants. They work in the context for one of the plant, it works as a quality control check. It's sort of the final piece to having a line be fully automated because before there was a person there and they were packing tubs into a box. But while they're doing that, humans serve multiple functions, not just as a mechanical movement, but also as a quality check with their eyes. So now the AI that we're using from Maniva visually checks the tub to make sure that there's no quality defects, because if it goes through, you get fined from the customer.
Okay. Yeah.
And then the mechanical integration is then done to reject or accept the product.
I see. And like, I want to get into it. It's like a camera is checking the like last quality control of the candy that is manufactured. I'm assuming it's like the defects on the shape, size, or color, right? So what is the actual effect? You mentioned like fines. What are we talking about? Like, are they really impactful, or can you maybe
Well, if you
get
if you
like
get
a
if you get
recall maybe?
fined every single time, it's at least $400.
Okay.
So let's say you're pumping out, 6 million of these units a year, and there's a fine rate of, and there's a defect rate of 1% or 0.5%.
Hmm.
You can just multiply that out and you know what the impact is, right? But more so, it's not just like the thing about AI is that you're able to see the defects. And because it's seen so many iterations of it, it'll start picking up sort of correlations upstream on what's causing these defects. Whereas like human that you put onto the line here, they have nothing to do with what's happening, 10 meters above them. So when they see that defects, they'll reject the product, but it won't actually help into making your factory run any better.
I
Whereas
see.
AI will start going, hey, upstream, you commonly have this problem that causes downstream problem. So over a period of months or years, you're looking at making holistic changes to your process.
I see. Yeah. And like in your experience, does AI drive more value through like production efficiency or like quality control? As you mentioned, like quality control is a big thing for you guys. But do you guys have anything in like supply chain with AI?
Not so much on the supply chain side yet, but AI's value is not so much an additive effect. So when you have one AI solution, it's an additive effect, right? So you're rejecting bad quality products, or you're, reducing the amount of quality control workers that need to be on the line, and you're replacing that with an AI cost. But the moment you have more AI stationed, then the impact becomes multiplicative because, like I said, that AI now is diagnosing upstream. What's
Hmm.
the possible causes of this? So
Hmm.
that reduces your downtime, right? And then downstream, AI can communicate with warehousing to say, hey, look, we have downtime and we're expecting this PO to be completed, at T plus 2 days from now. Whereas before it was only scheduled for 1 day. And then now the communication can go back to the front office and they can adjust the shipment dates. Like all
Okay.
of this before would need multiple teams to coordinate, and or you're updating this tomorrow at the morning meetings, whereas now it's a real time thing, right?
So can we say like it gives you more transparency and more predictability in the future?
Yeah, it's the predictability is instant, and it's not that it's not transparent with people, it's that people have too many things going on and they can't keep track of what's important to communicate and what's not.
I see. Yeah. And like, like AI is right now a really big thing that we see effects on like industries and different manufacturing plants and so. But how was it on your experience, like integrating AI to like legacy equipments that probably you run, or how was it like? Was it hard? Was it challenging? Like how many you handled it?
Yeah, we only have one experience integrating AI into our factory, and that's with Maniva.
Hmm.
So the integration is quite easy. They just drop a camera in, and then that camera then becomes the master, and all machinery then becomes slave to it. So it could be, on the candy lines, it'll integrate into a pneumatic piston or whatever the case, but it becomes the sort of decision maker, the driving force. I think with traditional vision cameras, because it lacks the AI component, it doesn't provide as much flexibility and nuance as the AI cameras. So you would have a lot of like false positives or false negatives, and it just doesn't run as well. So it theoretically works, but in practicality, it becomes very difficult to consistently use.
So, yeah. And like, what do you think about the current state of like food and beverage manufacturing, like also like candy manufacturing? Or is this industry is lagging behind in adoption of new technologies? Like, for example, like industries like automotive, pharma, like we know them, they're really automized. And how is food and beverage, like candy industry in terms of this adoption?
Yeah, pharma, I would say, is probably not that advanced. Pharma and food are very much industries that are behind because they're sort of if it's not broken, don't fix it type of mentality. When I say food, I won't say all food, but at least within like the low risk snacks food sector. With high risk food, maybe there's a little bit more, say, incentive to look that way. But with low risk food, there's definitely not a lot of innovation. And most people are just stuck on still the sort of CapEx business model. So if we're stuck that, AI is equivalent to Netflix, these companies are still stuck on Blockbuster and renting DVDs. So I
Okay.
think there needs to be still this era of education and understanding of what AI can do, like non-LLM AI, right?
I see. Yeah. Like actionable AI, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. And I don't know if you remember, I showed you like a couple weeks ago the Happy Robot demo where AI agent like sources a part for a production team and it navigates it through like different suppliers, handles the logistics and stuff. Like, what do you see the future of that kind of an automation in manufacturing? Would it?
Yeah,
Do you think it
I
will work?
Yeah, I think it will work. It's one of those things where it needs to reach a certain critical mass for all industries for that thing to work really well. So it's very much the same comparison of like having self-driving Teslas on the road, but it needs to watch out for the dumb cars, right?
Hmm.
So if we could just replace all cars with all Teslas,
Yeah.
self-driving would almost be at 100% effectiveness, right? But the problem is that there's a bunch of dumb cars out there, and so it has to watch out for these unknowns.
Yeah.
In the AI world, it's the same way too, right? The more you have of AI everywhere, the more reliable it becomes. So once it reaches that like critical mass of everyone adopting it, then for sure it becomes automated. And
I
then
see.
this goes towards the theory of the dark factory, right? So
Yeah.
it's not even just the back end of the dark factory, but even like the front end of when is stuff getting here, right? When it does get here, where do I store it? Like so eventually one day I think that'll all be possible.
But like in terms of like trust to system like that, like in terms of Happy Robot, like in theory it works really well. Like I really like their demo, but how would you trust their system, like that kind of a system that manages your like vendors, your orders? What would you say
You
on
we
that?
there's no way, right? So just as you do anything when you try something new, you can't just day one someone say it works, so then you go and you let it do everything. There's gonna be this coexisting period where
Hmm.
humans are still the final check, right?
Okay, yeah.
It's no different than raising a child. Like
Hmm.
you watch over them, you watch over all their decisions until they're 18. And then once they're 18, they go off and they make their own decisions. And so there's going to be that dwelling period where humans and AI are coexisting to make sure that things run well and smoothly.
So you're saying that, at the beginning, we need human in the loop for systems like that.
Yeah.
And like maybe in the future, while it like makes itself better, we can then hand it off to them
Yeah,
to
but
run.
like effective immediately if the AI is pretty decent, you would have like a procurement team that had, four people in a team, right? Immediately go down to two.
Okay, yeah.
Right? So the two people who were like before the team of four, there would let's call it one director and
Hmm.
one manager and two juniors. Now all of a sudden, all you have left is one director and one manager, right?
100%. And like, what do you think will happen to factories that don't adopt AI in next like 3 to 10 years or 5 to 10 years in like candy or like food manufacturing?
I think they will either be acquired by people that are looking at implementing AI to drive outcomes, because theoretically, anybody who has expertise in deploying AI in a factory will buy out this factory at, fair market value, quote unquote. But that fair market value is assuming you don't apply AI. So to the knowledgeable person, they're picking it up at a discount, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
Or if they don't get sold and bought, then they will lose position in the marketplace because they can't make things for as cheap as somebody else who does the same thing.
Hmm.
In which case they'll just lose market share and go out of business. Um, both sides point to the fact that AI adoption is needed. I think the problem though is with the friction and understanding of AI. Like most factories, there's a lot of factories that don't even understand how to use Excel.
Right. Yeah.
So it's sort of like that education piece and that willingness to adopt to something
Hmm.
when they didn't even bother adopting to Excel. And like Excel could change the lives of a lot of these factories. You know what I mean? Yeah.
100%. And like, do you think automation like this, like AI, will shrink the factory's headcount or will it just shift the type of roles needed?
I think people that say it won't shift headcount are politicians.
Right.
I
Yeah.
think it definitely will shift headcount.
Hmm.
All of the sort of dark warnings that everyone is saying about massive unemployment and all of this stuff, I think I'm not saying that's going to happen in the next 5 to 10 years even, but in our lifetime, that's for sure going to be a thing. But I think what will happen is that it'll make humans question our own existence and like why we need to exist and what we should do with all this free time that we have.
I see. Yeah.
So it'll be a massive cyclical slash frictional unemployment,
Hmm.
but I would say it's more like an existential crisis for humanity. But I think the times that, humans make the most stride is when we get challenged for our existential crisis. Like we need to figure out what's the point of us being here.
Yeah. 100%. It's very deep. And like, what are you thinking about like current traditional food executives? Like, are they like old school in this industry, like food manufacturing, or are they underestimating this kind of technology that is coming to them? Or what do you think?
I think some of the very senior leadership, they're sort of on their way out. Like let's say they're within retirement within 3 years, then they might be sort of they don't care much about it.
Hmm.
But I would say anybody who is an executive that takes their job seriously, they cannot ignore what this landscape looks like. So it just depends on the personality. Like some people are there because, they're looking forward to retiring and golfing. And some people are there at their senior leadership post because they're really interested by this stuff. And if you're really interested by this stuff and you're really interested with humanity, I don't think we could ignore AI. Like this is not one of those things where people are going to say, this is the next biggest thing ever, and then it fizzes out. What we can be wrong is what specifically is big about AI. That's where we can be wrong. But AI of itself is definitely going to be the thing that changes the trajectory of humanity at this point.
And if we were to get into more questions about founders currently, like for founders building AI tools for manufacturers, like what should they really keep an eye on, like for when trying to solve problem of a manufacturers?
I mean, for solving the problems of manufacturers, I think it's important for founders to realize that AI experts are not experts at the customer's problems, right?
Right.
The customer is the expert at the customer's problems.
Hmm.
Because even if two customers are doing the exact same thing, they have different problems because they have designed different processes and they have different people working at their facilities. So the first thing is to keep in mind is to have a learning heart and to have a compassionate heart. But where also founders need to be and have that conviction of is that they are the expert of their AI solution.
Hmm.
So, it's sort of like going to a restaurant, like, right? Like a person knows what they prefer to eat, but the restaurant and the chef knows what they're really good at making. So it's
Right.
about finding that, bridge of what am I really good at making that you really like to eat? And
I see.
what
Yeah.
is a pivot from that that will challenge you to try something new? But
Hmm.
me as the chef, I understand why you like what you like to eat,
Yeah.
right?
So, like, can we say that founders should be more collaborative with the problem that they're solving? Like, they need to be on the field. They need to get in touch with their like clients or customers. Like, would that work?
Yeah, I mean, I think founders that try to sell a product without understanding how that product fits to their customers' needs, that is a recipe for failure and or you just need extreme luck. You have to like very intricately understand your customer's problem. And the job of a founder is to take that customer's problem and see within 2 degrees of separation if that's everybody else's problem so that they can figure out a solution that can scale.
Yeah. And if you could like request one startup that would solve your problems, like one tool that exists tomorrow, what would you want? Like help your team's day-to-day operations? What would it be?
Well, I think if we can get it's not so much of an AI ask, it's more of a robotics ask. I think AI is already there in terms of being able to solve the mental problem. I think the problem we have right now is with physical dexterity. So, God gave us, opposable thumbs and 2 hands, and we can do a lot of damage with these things. Robotics can't. They're just not as good as our thumbs and our fingers. You know, raccoons were also blessed with opposable thumbs and they do a lot of damage to your garbage. So like robots can't even compare to raccoons right now. Like raccoons will outmaneuver a robot in a lot of things. So until that limitation gets lifted,
Hmm.
when that limitation gets lifted is where we'll see massive change.
I see. Yeah. So more in help in like physical world, like
Yeah. Yeah.
robotic.
The AI is already capable of
Yeah.
driving that type of machinery. Our problem is that we have a mind that's trapped in a body that doesn't work.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. 100%. And like, I want to get more into future of food and AI, like together. 10 years, like, what does smart candy factory look like to you? What should it have?
I think it'll be very autonomous. I think there may or may not be bipedal robots that have, you know, 3D view of the whole factory at any given moment because it doesn't need eyes. It can link up to the central network.
Hmm.
I think we will discover lots of different food ingredients and what to make to keep humans the most healthy. So AI beyond the physical world, but AI in terms of theory crafting different chemicals and different medicine will leak its way into food as well. So let's say making candy that tastes just like sugar but is fine for diabetics, those would come into effect.
Yeah. And what do you think about like, do you see in an era AI native footprints and like companies built entirely on data feedback loops? Do you think this will be happening in the future? That like there will be factories called like AI native food manufacturer?
Yeah, yeah. So there for sure will be stuff like that. I think I don't know if that'll be 5 years, but I'll say in the 10 to 15 years for sure. Uh, you know, we're very much getting into the space sciencey side of things where we could be making space food while humans go to figure out how to colonize Mars or something.
Yeah, I see. Yeah. And last question I want to ask you before we go is like, what excites you about this transformation in manufacturing, and what keeps you curious about it?
I think there's a lot of possibilities of what could be made differently than what we thought before. So manufacturing before has been, you know, taking what people have sold on the street from hundreds of years ago and saying, how do we make this for a lot of people?
Hmm.
But I think in the future, it'll be like, how do we make really nutritious food that people still like to eat? And
Yeah.
I think there'll be a portion where AI will enable output at such a low cost and such high nutrition that it will make a huge impact on world hunger. So
Yeah.
malnourished children, I think that will be a big part of AI's benefit to humanity.
And like, thank you very much, Kevin, for joining, and hope everyone liked the video. So, thank you very much.
All right. Thanks, Aaron.
All right.
Bye.